Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And welcome to my video guide on the Power and Magic's Deepest Chasm Pitch Cosmos fight, which is the content that we receive alongside with the second wave of the level 70 Crystal Awakening. So we do have a lot to go through, so let's start this video. Now, as seeing this will be like a Heretic challenge, we do have multiple bosses in this fight. Now in this fight there are going to be 3 waves. The first wave we will meet the Heretic Cavalier, and it's weak to ice and water element and to melee attacks. As for its abilities, it is interchangeably using Power Surge, which raises its attack, and Vulcanize, which raises its defense. Now, it will always have these set of abilities, which are the Brave Attack, which is a melee Brave Attack, Leaping Swing, which is a melee HP attack, Double Slash, which is a powerful melee Brave Attack, Thrust Torrent, which is a melee Brave Attack plus an HP attack, which also grants itself a speed up. Next is Focus, which grants itself an attack up and a max brave up to itself. Now of course it has Power Surge, which again grants itself an attack up. This cancels Vulcanize's defense up, and with this set it will also add the Quadruple ability, which is a group melee brave attack, Knight's Oath, which is a increase in its brave based on its initial brave, and then uses focus on the next turn if it's afflicted with the break. Otherwise it will use Vulcanize, which will cancel Power Surge attack up. Now next up, of course, it has the Vulcanize ability, which increases its brave based on its initial brave, and again it increases its defense up. Next, it will use Holy, which is a Holy Brave Magic attack, and then Holy Rain, which is a group Holy Brave Magic attack. And this particular Heretic Cavalier has a low resistance to all debuffs as well. Now, one thing to note is that this Heretic Cavalier is different from the one in Dissidia DB. For whatever reason, Square Enix decided to have a different weakness. However, the abilities still remain the same, so if you just sort of ignore the weaknesses and resistances of the Heretic Cavalier in Dissidia DB, because it is different, however the attacks are the same. Okay, so let's talk about Wave 2, which is the Heretic Commander Beast, which has a weakness to melee attacks. It does not have any resistances, and it is accompanied by its little minions, which I really wouldn't want to go through because they just pretty much do a lunge attack and an HP attack, so it's not a big deal. But let's take a look at the Heretic Commander's abilities, shall we? First, it has Launch, which is a melee brave attack, Crushing Horn, which is a melee HP attack, Beast Flare, which is a magic brave attack plus an HP attack. This also has a low turn rate. Next, it has Comet Rain, which is a group magic brave attack, Assemble, which summons its worker beast, which is of course they're going to be in their heretic form as well. Next is Reinforced, which grants its party brave, then grants them attack up, defense up, speed up as well. Next is Assault, which grants itself an attack up, a brave region to the entire party, and orders its allies to attack the same targets as itself. Finally, it has Aid, which again orders the worker beast to cover the commander beast. Okay, so time to take a look at Wave 3, which is the Heretic Dark Bahamut Mass. I don't know why they named it like that, but that is the official name of this Dark Bahamut. Now this Dark Bahamut is weak to magic based attacks. It has Flare, which is a magic brave attack, Dive, which is a melee HP attack, Whirlwind, which is a magic brave attack, which can also inflict a speed down, Flare, Star, which is will increase its brave based on its initial brave and will do a group magic brave attack plus an HP attack. Now next is going to be Mega Flare, which is its signature move. It is a group magic brave attack plus an HP attack, and Cure, which restores its HP. And this particular Dark Bahamut mask, as well as I believe the other Dark Bahamut, will counter with Cure and Mega Flare after your summoning. Now, quick little note, this doesn't actually apply on the Cosmos co-op, but in the single one, the solo one, this will definitely apply. Okay, so now that we know the weaknesses, resistances, and the abilities of the 3 bosses for these 3 waves, it's time to take a look at some general tips and guide. And the first one is, I believe you should try and do this as much as you can, is to save about 60% of your abilities on the last boss, especially if you don't plan on summoning on the last wave, because if you don't really want to be countered with that Cure and Mega Flare, you would probably try and avoid it, and you need as much abilities as you can. Now next up is to obviously bring in the boosted characters. We have 6 in this one, which are Zack, Terra, Ramza, Ferris, Seven, and Yuna. Now in all honesty, the ones that I feel like are worth bringing are Zack, Terra, and Ramza, and probably Yuna to a certain extent as well. Other characters that you can bring are the Warrior of Light. I believe Cloud is still viable. His paralysis is still pretty good. Furion, if you plan on using him as a splash damager, and a Brave Battery, of course, in the second wave and third wave. Paladin Cecil is still a so-so character. Honestly, he can still be a good slash healer in some way. Then of course we have Noctis, which is one of our best DPS at the moment. You got Bartz, which is a good Brave Battery. I put Onion Knight here because he can technically, you know, take advantage of all the weaknesses of the bosses. He can do melee attacks, he can do magic attacks, so, you know, he's sort of worth bringing, but I wouldn't really highly recommend him as the first viable character to bring. Next is Sephiroth, of course, and we have Vayne as well. It's probably second best DPS right now. Then we got Sarah, Squall, Lightning, Jet, Renoa, Golbez. Kefka is here because you can basically block the Mega Flare with Kefka if you really want to. And of course we have Pain as well. Now for the Healers plus Brave Battery option, there has been a few upgrades here, which is Porum, and I added Yuna here as well. She's kind of decent right now. I wouldn't say the best one, but kind of decent now since she can actually do some DPS herself. But of course you still have your old ones, Rem, Selphie, Maria, Eiko, and of course Lena and Kate Sith. Now as for the summon, you have a choice between Ifrit and of course Shiva as well. Okay, so I guess now it's time to take a look at some general tips for the fight itself. The first one is to bring in, of course, for your friend support is going to be Quistis, and I have added Squall here as well. This sort of just coincides with my second tip, which is splash damage is actually pretty helpful on the second wave, hence bringing in Squall for your support, or bringing your own splash damager if you do plan to bring a Quistis support. Now the next tip I have for you guys is do not summon on the Dark Bahamut unless you know you can kill it during the summon phase, or it will cure itself and use Mega Flare afterwards. The plan I had was to actually use my summon on the second wave if you don't plan on using in the third wave. This can coincide with your Squall support basically having a high amount of Brave, and doing 100% splash on the second wave is actually really great. Now for my next tip, I don't normally try and recommend more characters in this general tips because I've already recommended other characters, but I feel like you do have to try and bring turn efficient characters like Vayne, Ramza, or even Alice to get below that 80 turn requirement for the Cosmos fight. I feel like even though it's not essential, this will really help you out in trying to clear all the requirements for this Cosmos fight. And finally, my last tip for you guys is to actually bring a healer. You will need it. Not that you actually must have to, however, it will really make things easy for you as well, as this Cosmos fight has a 7,000 or less HP damage requirement. And with the Dark Bahamut actually using Mega Flare on its first turn, unless you manage to shield yourself so you wouldn't take too much damage, a healer will take care of you in that particular mission requirement. Okay, so now that we've got the general tips out of the way, it's time to take a look at some possible party compositions, and the first one is going to be a team of the boosted characters. In this case, it's Yuna, Terra, and Ramza with a Squall support and Shiva for the summon. Now, the reason why I added these three is one, because they are the reworks, so I feel like I want to highlight them more often than not. So the other reason for this is I really wanted to add Zack here, and I wanted to take Yuna out because I feel like Zack is still a better overall character. However, because the Dark Bahamut will always use Mega Flare first, you will need a healer if you want to reach that HP damage requirement. So in all honesty, you probably have to run this twice. I'm not entirely sure because I have not tried yet using Zack, Yuna, and something else. Now, even though Yuna had her rework, she's still not as turn efficient as other characters. Now, Ramza can obviously alleviate a little bit of those problems with the turn counts, but I'm not sure whether Yuna has what it takes to actually be as efficient as, let's say, Terra in this case. However, you're free to try it out and let me know down in the comments below. Now, the second team I have here is the Warrior of Light, Terra, and Ramza with a Squall support and Shiva for the summon, which is what you guys are seeing here. Now, Warrior of Light will make quick short of this fight, so if you have Warrior of the Light, I highly suggest you actually use him in order for you to clear this fight. Of course, if you want a bit of a challenge, then you can take him out of the team, but if you are struggling, Warrior of Light basically blocks the Dark Bahamut in gaining any Brave at all. It cannot break that shield. So if the Dark Bahamut is broken when it's using its Mega Flare, it's actually not gonna gain any Brave at all, and you will receive 0 damage. Next up here is Warrior of Light, Rinoa, and Vayne with a Quistis support and Shiva for the summon. Now, obviously, I've already highlighted how important the Warrior of Light is in this team composition, but Rinoa is here basically for that splash damage on the second wave. And then you have Vayne for turn shenanigans, and of course, multi-breaking Bahamut, and you probably won't have to worry about it hitting you with Mega Flare, and even if it does go through, you have the Warrior of Light shield, which will protect you as well. This is with a Quistis support and a Shiva summon. And finally, we have Noctis, Ramza, and Vayne. With a Quistis support and Shiva for the summon, this does not have a tank. However, there are two pure, really strong DPS on this team. Noctis with his turn shenanigans, alongside with Vayne as well with his turn shenanigans. And of course, Ramza, which has the HP+++, which basically won't add up to your turn count. So overall, this is turn shenanigan team, and I believe you can beat it with this team. So we are at the end of this video, and of course I will give you guys my final thoughts. Now, three things really make this fight hard. I believe the heretic aspect, which the monsters, or whatever you want to call it, the bosses, all the enemies have a higher attack stat while they have a lower defense stat. Now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's how Heretic works. You always will probably max out with your brave attacks. However, they do have a higher attack stat, which kind of is scary. Now the other two are basically the mission requirements. The first one, obviously the turn, the minimum turn is only 80 turns, and the minimum HP damage that you're allowed is 7,000, which is kind of low in all honesty if you compared it with probably other Cosmos fight where you probably won't get HP damage that much. However, the last wave, which is the Dark Bahamut fight, basically will almost ensure that you will get hit by an HP attack. Now, however you want to deal with this, whether it's with a tank like the Warrior of Light, which can shield you. Now remember, Zac cannot shield you from that attack because it is an all attack. Zac may not get broken, but the rest of your characters may, so make sure you have Brave when it's about to use its Mega Flare. And the other aspect to it is you can always bring a healer to just heal through it. However, you have to make sure that you heal enough before you kill the boss. And not only that, the boss, well, the Dark Bahamut, will also cure itself. Now, if you end up not killing it after its second cure, I believe, that is a bit of a problem in your DPS department. So, as much as you can, you will have to try and be as aggressive as much as you can. So while I feel like this fight is hard because of those three aspects, it's not like it's not doable. So I would say this is in the middle of the pack when it comes to Cosmos difficulty. Now, if you're a newer player, obviously you are going to be quite limited in the characters that you can bring. And to be honest with you, for most veteran players, the roster that we can bring and actually clear this fight is getting smaller, as well as, you know, as the Cosmos fight gets harder and harder later on. And of course, when chaos comes around, it's just one of those things that there will always be a power creep. So again, while I find the difficultiness, I suppose, more so in the mission requirements, you can always rerun these fights. For example, if you didn't get your turn count because you brought a tank, a healer, and 1 DPS, and you just couldn't, like, you know, get there with that team, so you can replace something later on and rerun something that you know that you can achieve the turn count. Whether someone dies or not, that's a whole different topic, but you can always rerun so you can get all the rewards, rerun it with a different team, and see how you can do this. And I guess that's the beauty of, you know, the Cosmos fight. You generally just have to clear it. There are no extra rewards for you to get a very high score like the EX fight beforehand. So anyway guys, I think I will leave the video right here. Please remember to click like and subscribe if you find this video helpful at all. Now, as always, I'd like to hear you guys' thought about this fight, and of course, which team you used to actually beat this fight. Did you have to rerun this, or did you just clear it in one go? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and on Facebook at Munchkins Gaming. This is Munchkins logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.